Hi, Greg.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
We got there in the end.
Yes,
Welcome. Now, this
yes,
is your very first Instagram live.
it is for sure. Your half of the screen is black. I don't know if that's
Oh, I can see you
okay,
clear.
cool. That's
All
all that
right.
matters.
All right. So let's get cracking into
Yep.
this because I've got a lot of questions, especially being in this sector. But the cool thing about you is that you've actually been, besides doing all the website and all the agency and the coaching stuff, you've actually been in the disability sector. And I think it's 17 years. Is that right?
Yes. No, it's actually closer to 20 now. I started when I was 21. I'm 41 now. Yeah, that is a bit old. I need to update that.
Okay, with COVID, I took 2 years off as well, so it's fine. Now,
2005 I started.
when you started, did you start as a direct support worker? Tell us how you got to where, like, how'd you get here? So, were you a direct support worker to begin with?
Yeah, definitely. I started out with some big companies, Lifestyle Solution, Life Without Barriers, that sort of thing. And we started what was the pilot program for the Criminal Justice Program.
Yep.
So back then it was before the NDIS, and so we actually, incarcerated people would come out of prison and they'd been in there for 10 years. They didn't know what a mobile phone was, all that sort of stuff. So we would teach them how to integrate back into society. We'd put them in what's now called a seal house, and we'd live with them. And then we'd take them to their bail because they couldn't read. We'd help them fill out their settling forms, all that sort of things. And then, yeah, I progressed as a support worker, and I'm still providing supports now
Yep.
to participants as well. So,
Ah, you got to keep your finger on the pulse.
yeah, it's been a long career. I've done a lot of other things. I don't know if you want me to go into
Go
what I've done.
tell us.
So from there, I kind of moved to juveniles and started doing very similar sort of stuff. And then we went into disability STA camps. So been a team leader, and I've led over 300 STA camps for disability, people living with a disability. And then that led to me starting my own organisation here on the Gold Coast, where I focus on young men with autism, intellectual disabilities. So that's where I'm at now.
Do love talking about support work, and I will get into all the other stuff in between. When you were a support worker, what was your win and your favorite story that you love talking about? Bear in mind with confidentiality that it still gives you goosebumps to today that you love talking about that person and where they got to.
Goodness. For
Sorry.
me, truthfully, it's really hard because I was in a situation where I was what's called a swing. I don't know if you know what a swing is, but because I was the most experienced person or one of the most experienced in the jobs, every single shift I was in a different house,
Yep.
and every single shift I'd have a different client. So it was hard for me to actually build relationships and build those genuine relationships with participants. I had to do that on the fly. I had to rock up and read the reports, build a rapport really
Yep.
quickly, and try and blend in with the team and that sort of stuff. I was always put in pretty much the hardest situations with the hardest clients. But I think my most rewarding thing is I've been working with someone now since they were 16, and they're like in their early 20s now, and just watching them grow and becoming a young man, from a young man who was really struggling and having troubles, to me being a mentor and me being a role model, and him really kind of mirroring what I do and wanting to be like me. And now he's just a awesome person. Oh, he was always an awesome person, but just to see him grow into be a man and achieve that sort of stuff is probably something that I cherish the most.
I think it's definitely something to value because I was talking to somebody the other day about the amount of support workers an individual will have over a lifetime, and the
Yeah.
fact that you've had one for this period of time, it's something worth celebrating, and it's definitely something that's fantastic because you've been able to see the growth and the progression, and that's all the cool, beautiful stuff that we love, and that's why we work in support.
Yeah, it's hard because there's always those boundaries, right? They like, oh, don't
Yeah.
get too close to people. You got to have professional boundaries, and obviously I do abide by those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But you can't help but to build a
Yeah.
genuine care for a person when you spend a lot of time with them and you want to see them succeed. And I think that's a healthy thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of, you get to see those goals. Yeah, it does. That's why I wake up in the morning because I love that stuff. I love those wins. And yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
got completely off track, but you do other, besides from support work, I reckon the really cool thing that you also offer is that you're able to build websites, which in recent, I would say, couple of months, parts of the support worker store, some people will say, hey, Sarah, can you jump onto my social media, my website? What do you think? And there are signs and there are cues with some of the language in websites, whether some who has assisted them to build. Can
Yeah.
you go through any things that you do when you intake like a new provider or an independent when it comes to building these websites, so the language is on cue with what's acceptable now?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll just add to that introduction. My history has been, I've also had a digital agency for 15
Yeah,
years, which is kind of run alongside me having a business in support work
yeah,
and that sort of thing. So I've done everything from Google Ads, Facebook ads, SEO,
yeah,
you name it, building websites and that sort of thing. That's why I wanted to specialize in this. And really what makes us special at Chadwick Digital is that language
yeah,
framework that we focus on. Inherently, I think this is a very different industry. You want to, we always, the communication that we talk about, continuity supports,
yeah,
personal centered care, a lot of different things. We say the people we support,
yeah,
and people living with a disability. The way we communicate is different. And the way we structure a website, I think, is and my framework that I've developed over probably 5 years or so building NDIS
yeah,
websites is that we want to build trust with our audience. We want to build trust. So if you meet someone in a networking environment, if you meet someone wherever it is, you're trying to build those relationships. Obviously, when they hit your website, when they Google you, whatever, you want to make sure that it aligns with what you've been talking
yeah,
about. It aligns with the framework of the NDIS. It aligns with who your ideal participants are, and look, a few other things. I've developed a bit of a nurture sequence to try
yeah.
and help build trust every section as we go, kind of thing.
When, like, because I do enjoy parts of it, like for me with the support worker, so I do enjoy parts of social media and all that stuff. With websites, I dare say there's parts that you enjoy putting together as well. When it comes to building a website for an individual or an organization, what sparks your joy? Like, what do you enjoy when it comes to creating them?
Personally, it's the discovery call. So my discovery call is, okay, we've had the sales call, they've signed the contract, then we go on to, and I do about an hour to an hour and a half of a discovery call. And I get to build a relationship and a rapport. And usually what ends up happening is it turns from, what do we want to know from about building a website to a coaching session almost.
Yeah,
So, because a lot of the times people want a website, but they don't know who their ideal participants are. They don't know how
yeah,
to attract clients. And they think that a website is going to get me clients straight away. I'll get on the internet and I'll
no,
get clients. But it's
yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I would love that to be the case.
yeah,
I'm sure I'd sell a lot more websites if that was the case. But there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes of building a relationship. A
yeah,
website is just one part of a whole cog. And yeah, I love the relationship building side of things, and just getting to know
yeah,
people and their story, and try and piecing that all together, and making it unique to them. So basically the concept of what we do is I get who they are, the language they use, all that sort of stuff. I take the NUS framework and we combine them together.
yeah.
So,
That must be quite exciting. Like, I take it you would have had a lot of people that have come to you that don't have any website at all and they're starting out fresh from websites. And then, like, bear with me because it's not my area of expertise. Have you noticed that there has been like any growth? And when I say growth, from somebody not having a website to having a website and starting to be having a bit more of a presence in this sector, have you seen anyone being able to grow their business from it? I know like social media and websites are only so much, but considering some people start with absolutely nothing.
yeah, I think it's the first step to legitimacy. So,
Yeah,
like, you might have been a support worker, an independent support worker, or whatever that sort of thing is. The thing with trust is in this sector, and I'll keep going back to trust. You'll hear, it takes 20 years to build it and five minutes to lose it. If you
yeah,
go and meet a whole bunch of support coordinators, which I don't know where you would do that because they're not all just sitting in a room, but if you go and you've reached out and you've built some relationships with sport coordinators, then they Google you and you're nowhere to be seen, or they come
Yeah.
across a website that's been built overseas, a crappy Wix website, you immediately lose trust
Yeah.
and you lose faith. Yeah, to answer your question, I would say, yeah, that would be my answer.
So you've just like dinged, the light bulb has gone off. There's a few things here. So
Yeah,
I was talking to a lady a couple of weeks back in regards to what images we put on websites and how I can pick a website a mile away from stock images.
yeah.
When you're having these conversations with our providers, is there like, what way around do you get to be able to put a website together if you're starting with no NDIS participants? Are you leaning towards stock images, or the recommendations actually to use real and raw? What's going to get more interest for somebody to stay on a web page? Is it from stock images or no?
Yeah,
Or,
look, it is something that I think makes a massive, massive
yeah,
difference for sure. But I guess I have three different scenarios. One
yeah,
is all stock images because they're new in the industry. They don't
yeah,
have any images. The way we humanize that is to have a founder
yeah,
section and
yeah,
just have a real picture of them down the bottom and just telling their story and try and humanize them a little bit so
yeah,
that we know, this is not just, that's where we have to kind of keep coming back to. People want to build relationships. They don't want to deal with a multi-conglomerate that's going to treat them like another number.
yeah,
The other one is so we just have stock images. And I
yeah,
always recommend doing paid stock images.
yeah,
I like to look for paid stock images where people are having a selfie
yeah,
or that sort of thing, so they kind of look a little bit like a real
yeah,
thing. And then we have the hybrid where it's they've got a couple of images, and then we'll mix that in with stock images, and then there's just all their
yeah,
images. And obviously, all their images is going to be the best direction to take it. It just, like I said, it humanizes. It makes what we want when someone lands on the website. So basically, I think it's 46% of people will leave your website in the first 15 seconds if you
yeah,
can't grab their attention and let them know that you're in the right spots. By putting your target demographic, let's say young men, autism, intellectual disability,
yeah,
by putting a picture of that person with a smiling support worker or taking a selfie out at the beach or whatever, immediately whoever it is, a primary carer or someone like that, or even if it's someone with a disability, can put themselves in their shoes
yeah,
and can see a happy smiling person next to them and really empathize with that person on the page. So then we've got them, and
yeah.
then we nurture them into, oh, here's some reviews, or here's some, into a bit of a nurture sequence.
Wow. Sorry. I'd never really thought of that before, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And then I'm thinking about my website now going, oh crap.
Target audience is really,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
understanding that, and that's often the biggest problem. I'm sure you've heard all the marketers in this industry saying, find a way to stand out, stop offering all things to all people.
yeah,
That's where I'm at. But sometimes people do offer all things to all people. I have built websites for people that are in every niche, and that's their
yeah,
choice. So that's what we kind of try and go for, diversity at
yeah,
that point. So it's a lot of different people. If you're not working with people in wheelchairs, don't put wheelchairs on your website. And that's one of the first mistakes that I see because of the lack of knowledge. When someone overseas builds a website,
yeah.
there's automatically a wheelchair there, and it's just because
I
that's their
know.
perception of a disability.
When I have seen some websites that I have questioned before in the past, it had a lot to do with language and the type of language that you would use and how we refer to people in the most proper way possible. That
Yeah.
always is probably the biggest red flag for me. But besides doing all the website, you actually do some other pretty cool stuff. And I'd really like to touch base on it. We'll touch and talk about it.
Yeah.
Coaching. How long have you been coaching for?
What kind of coaching?
Well,
I've been a basketball coach for a very long time, coached juniors for a long time. I used to play semi-professional basketball, so
yeah,
I think that's where my passion comes from, coaching within the NDIS
yeah,
sector, and why I'm able to really understand. A lot of it really comes back to similar coaching kids in basketball, adults in basketball, men's in basketball, and just knowing, keeping people on track and keeping them engaged, keeping them inspired.
yeah,
Obviously, I've been there. I've started my own business.
yeah,
Truthfully, to start out coaching, I reckon I did about 100 free coaching
yeah,
sessions just to, and the reason, the funny thing is, the reason why I got into this and why I kind of discovered, oh, I can take my skills and put it into the NDIS, is because I used to work in a job where I would drive 8 hours down to New South Wales, work 5 days on, and then have 8 days off and drive back. I was like, how can I make money on this 8 hours when I'm doing stuff? But I didn't end up making money. But what I did end up saying is, hey, I'm on a long drive. Who wants to give me a call and I'll do some coaching and I'll help you out, sort of thing. So I would just do free. I'd have 8 hours to do free coaching on the drive there and 8 hours to free coaching on the way back. So
this is what I call hitting your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So we all have to, like, you just don't wake up one day and think, you know what, I'm going to get into coaching, I'm going to get into disability and it's all going to work. And it doesn't, because we do have to get our hands dirty at the best of times, really. We have to learn on the go and then learn really quickly, make a mess, learn quickly, start over and over and again. Because of your range of all these different backgrounds and you come together, I remember talking to you, I think the other day, in regards to some of the ad stuff when it came to websites, promoting yourself out there, that sometimes it's a flop. And I will be the first to admit that I've had Facebook flops. Is there any rule or anything, or is it just that this area, like this sector, is so hard to put a meta ad together to actually generate more leads to come in?
Yeah, look, there is. I'm giving away my secrets now. There is and there's not. Like this industry, what happens is immediately, like, it goes back to offering all things to all people. Initially comes back to that where you don't know who you're targeting. So someone could have, like, let's talk about keywords, for example. We'll go Google Ads. Keywords, for example, someone types in disability provider Gold Coast. That could be someone with autism, intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, dementia. They could be 65. They could be 18. They could be looking for a support coordinator. They could be looking for a plan manager. It's such a low return on investment that, okay, maybe if you pumped a whole lot of money in there, you would get some leads. But it's going to be a while until you actually are able to calculate your return on investment, because you also don't know the lifetime expectancy of how long you're going to keep a participant for and what the profitability, that sort of stuff is. So that's basically Google Ads. But Facebook Ads another beast as well, because it does also go back to, you know, what is your irresistible offer. We need to look at, and that's what we build in when I coach marketing and that sort of stuff. We look at their irresistible offer. We build out their offer. Once you've got that offer, it's not just a matter of actually putting that offer in front of people. You actually have to build trust, because Facebook Ads is basically people strolling through, flicking through, and I'm interested in that, flicking through. You'll find I'm sure when you did Facebook Ads, you got a bunch of leads and they're all dead.
Yeah.
You might have got some. You call and like, no, I didn't click on that. No, I didn't put my name down in that.
Yeah.
So basically, what the key to it is actually building trust. So what we do is we create some kind of a lead magnet around the problem that needs to be solved. And then you have to create, you know, you think that putting one ad up is going to work. You've got to put 20 ads up.
Yeah.
So you record 20 ads, all with different, you know, headings or different looks or all that sort of stuff. But all those ads are to actually bring in an audience. And actually solve a problem within a minute. You want to solve a problem within 1 minute. And then you're able to track, okay, how many people watched 25% of that video? Now I can put my offer in front of the people that have watched at least 25% of that video. So that's kind of the recipe that works on Facebook, whereas people think they can just put up an ad and put it in front of people. The hard thing with the NDIS is that there's no, like, with Facebook ads, sometimes you can narrow it down to be like, let's go after lawyers, let's go after nurses, let's go after these people. In the NDIS, anybody could have a disability in Australia. Anybody could have contact with someone with a disability. So you can't filter it down that way. You actually have to filter it down by putting free content into people. And if they watch a certain amount of that content and they find it valuable, then you can retarget that audience. That's the only way it actually works with Facebook ads in this industry.
So with your business and moving forward, what is the plans? Like, what's your next steps? And are you allowed to tell me?
There's definitely some stuff I can't tell you, because I'm working on some collaborations with some people people that you would know. I couldn't give anything away just yet, but yeah, we're working on some good stuff there. And I'm actually going to be releasing. I have my podcast, The Provider Mentor.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people who just want mentors,
Yeah.
so I'm going to be putting together a group mentorship program where they can kind of have access to me if they get stuck with anything and that sort of stuff. And then we have the group coaching side of things where we can meet once a week or a fortnight, whatever that is. We'll have a bunch of videos in there that we've recorded, and that's going to break off to be a couple of different sections and areas as we record it and as it builds and grows, kind of thing, into that sort of stuff. So that's exciting. And I just launched another company. It's called Designably. So, and the concept of that is to really provide some kind of cheap branding. I've basically sourced some really good designers from overseas. I've got them all there. I want to give people a really affordable solution to be able to create their logo, their business cards, headers, all that sort of stuff, and get their branding right before we actually move on to any kind of website design or build or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I think if we can, my big, hairy, audacious goal is to help 30,000 providers in the next 10 years. So that's where I want to go. And I think if we can at least get it right from the beginning, get the foundations right, and go, look, you need to build a brand. This is about you. What's your why? How can we secure that? I think people will understand and really get that concept of this is more than just starting a business, bringing on people and caring for them like we're babysitters.
Yep, you touched on that because I have done that. I'll be the first to admit that when I first started my company, I had very little. I probably changed my logo probably 2 or 3 times, my color palette a couple of times in between, and for me, it was just like I was fumbling around until I found something that stuck and it felt right and all that stuff. So I get that, and it probably would have saved me a lot of heartache and heartbreak if I had done that in the beginning. But also, as you're doing stuff online, you also talked about being present and turning up. What is it you that's got a once a month that you meet up with other providers and you're the host for? Is it?
Yes, kind of. I work with Tanya Gomez Consulting. Awesome person, very inspiring. If you're not already have something to do with Tanya Gomez Consulting, I recommend getting in there because she's providing crazy amount of value for free. So we have the Provider Collective that is basically free. I don't like saying networking because it's really more of a masterclass, but you do have your opportunity to build your professional network. But there's guest speakers that come along once a month. We have Cedar from My Sister coming tomorrow. She's doing an awesome talk on leadership and management, very successful woman in the industry as well. Just a whole heap of value coming from, like, when I was sitting on the Zoom call with all these consultants and coaches and everyone that are running it around the country. I think Tanya's got like 16 locations, something like that, and an online. When I was sitting there, I was like, man, this is like huge amount of knowledge all sitting on one screen. I was like, I was very grateful to be a part of it, and her concept is to change this industry 1% at a time, and I hope we're doing that. And it feels like most of the time our events are sold out, so once a month and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's been going awesome. I'm loving it too.
Well, I can tell by your social media presence and others that you're actually quite big in Queensland, in that sense that you must be getting quite a bit of people coming to see you once a month and having these conversations and stuff. So it was only the other day that we realized that we knew the same people and we were talking to the same people, and it was quite funny.
Yeah, it's funny now. It's become quite a small world as far as the consultant world's kind of coming along in the NDIS industry, and I believe we can all work together. I don't think we have to be competition. I think there's 160 odd providers in this industry.
Yeah.
And if we can all be on the same page and like the collective, I love that name, the Provider Collective. We, together we'll change this industry for the better rather than the government's stuffing it up with their bureaucracy.
Now, you left me with a little bit of a breadcrumb, so you're not allowed to talk about anything at all that you've got planned or coming up. Is it top secret?
Yeah, we're still workshopping it, so it's probably like 2 months away and that sort of stuff. So
all right.
But
anyone wanted to get in touch with you because they're they're intrigued by what's going to happen in 2 months' time, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Chadwick Digital, honestly, go on there, leave me a message, or Facebook, if you look up Greg Chadwick or Chadwick Digital, send me a message. They're probably the two most common ways to get a hold of me. I'll get back to you pretty quickly in that. But for anyone who's looking for like free educational content, I put a lot of stuff out on YouTube, which has been pretty successful for me, and I get a good response because I don't keep anything secret. I put everything out there for free, and if anyone needs help with implementation or any of that, so I'm here to help them. So what I didn't mention is that we're a not-for-profit charity. Our charitable purpose is to try and support providers to be the best that they can be, and try and change this industry for participants.
Amazing. You know what I like about when we were connecting and networking is that you've aced it on YouTube. I've done all right on Instagram. It's kind of cool to hear about YouTube and what people are doing on YouTube and how to present in this sector, because it's very small amount of people can actually get YouTube to work, but also to be able to deliver something that's a valuable content.
Well, I mean, I come from a content creation background. My first content creation was travel blogging in Paris and that sort of stuff, because I lived there for a couple of years. That sort of thing, I really started to learn how to create content and how the YouTube algorithms worked and Google algorithms work and that sort of thing. So, I don't understand Instagram. I'm super fresh to Instagram. And I think that's a good thing because, and that's what I would recommend social media wise, if people are going to try and build their social media, is to focus on a platform and get really good at it. Rather than trying to be at all. I'm at a stage where I've got VAs, I've got people who can, I make a post and it goes out to everything. At the moment. But I don't, you've done well on Instagram, and I'm just starting out. Hopefully I can get to where you're at.
Instagram. Yes. I always start with one platform. Now I'm starting to spread myself out into other platforms. The only advice that I'd give people is just be really consistent and turn up. And I think it's not just being on social media, it's being present for the people that we serve. If we're consistent, we turn up, and we're trusted. We're known, we're trusted. That's the magic. That's how we retain people. That's how we, provide really good quality support. That's what I go with.
But before YouTube, it was Facebook for me. I'm actually quite fresh to LinkedIn as well. I've always been on there, but actually looking at the algorithms and that sort of stuff. But before that, it was Facebook. I mastered Facebook. I understand that like the back of my hand. But in the early days, I reckon it was 5 years ago or something, me and Paul Bryan, we started like Facebook groups kind of at the same time and sort of things. We both got Facebook groups around the 2,500 to 3,000 mark or something like that. So that's where we kind of started putting our audience in a room and building our community. Like I would recommend, if you're marketing in the industry, building your community, then you can put your offer in front of people that need to solve that problem.
So have you got any, because I am not that great with YouTube, and I will dabble here and there. Have you got any YouTube hacks for anyone watching this that wants to dabble on that social media platform? Because you seem to be the king at it.
Yeah, it's just provide value. Honestly, you need to keep providing value. The algorithm's super duper smart. It literally reads every keyword that you're saying in your video. And triggers those keywords into its search engine. So, you'll see there's a transcript on the right-hand side or whatever. So it takes all that information, every part of your video, and it puts it in front of the people that have been searching that sort of stuff. Continue to add value, because what you'll find is, even if, it's funny because the people that watch my YouTube stuff, they become quite ingrained and they watch it like it's Netflix. My loyal clients, the ones that really want to work with me, they come from the videos that have only had 200 views, because they're probably the ones that have the most value, but they're not the most entertaining to the algorithms.
Well, it makes sense, because I reckon I YouTube tutorial every day, a different topic, something to learn consistently. So the fact that you've been able to do it and do it well, it's quite impressive. And it's something that I know myself I'm learning, but also I'm like you, I've been trialing LinkedIn, and I have seen a really big difference when it came to follow account, when it came to adding value and getting people like leads, they were different. What I have learned, and this is what I've taken from Instagram. Instagram's fantastic,
Yep.
but I also talk to a lot of the content creators. I'm not talking to the business owners or
Yep.
the support workers at direct. So
Okay.
I found that LinkedIn, I have been getting the opposite, where I'm actually talking to support workers and I'm talking to the support coordinators. I'm getting that more. So that has been a learning for me, but I suppose really out of all of this, it's just giving it a crack.
Yeah.
Giving it.
Alex Harmozy has a great YouTube video somewhere. I remember watching it, and he goes through basically what is the most effective platforms and that sort of thing, and how long people will
Yeah.
stay on it, and,
Yeah.
and what the lead strength is from each one and that sort of stuff. So each one, LinkedIn and YouTube are very high.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other thing for that is that my target market isn't really on LinkedIn that much, because I'm into the education sort of thing. You know, I'm dealing with people that are kind of $0 to $20,000 a month in revenue and that sort of stuff. So those sort of people for me are not on LinkedIn yet because they don't understand the value of LinkedIn yet.
Yep.
So for me, LinkedIn is building my professional network. It's not for me to get clients.
Yep.
It's for me to meet up with other people that are going through the same stuff as me and building that professional network.
Well, it's a professional network, but it's also like a living resume. It's probably the best way to describe it, because you can put your work out there, and it is exciting when people do have a win. And I enjoy watching people's wins in that sense. So as you're doing like that, like the marketing type between all the social media platforms and your website creation, do you have any suggestions or any tips for the future moving forward into 2025, 26, what we need to do to make sure that we can get ourselves out there and being seen?
I would say, utilize AI. I see a lot of trends going towards AI. I would say utilize AI where you can, but be careful, because I can spot an AI content and text a mile away. And I think people are like we know a stock image. You know something that's AI. So I think you just have to keep being genuine, and you have to just keep providing value. Value is going to win over at a time. Because I think which is really cool, we are in an age of people wanting to absorb and gain knowledge. You know, you've seen the explosion of coaching and that sort of thing. There's life coaches. There's every kind of coach there is. But that's also because people want to skip steps, and the only way to skip steps is to find someone that's done it before and learn from them and learn knowledge and that sort of stuff. So just keep sharing your knowledge, keep putting it out there, and I believe that when you give through reciprocity, it comes back to you, whether it be on a spiritual level or a psychological level or whatever that is. I think just giving is the key to all of it.
Yep. Well, some people do ask me when it comes to social media, Sarah, what has made you grow quicker? And I've always said it was because I was able to give information I haven't taken. When I say taken, I haven't requested for support workers. I haven't got capacity. I'm not an NDIS provider, by the way. Okay. None of those things. And that's because what I do is create content and resources for support workers and for small businesses that are wanting to take that step up and how to deliver really good quality supports. So what I have learned is by giving, the more I gave, the more I received in that sense as well. Maybe that's the universe, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, keep going. I'll cut you off.
That's all right. Oh. Has anyone on this chat, if you've got any questions, please feel free as we're going along, guys, to add it in the comments. Greg, have you got anything that I have missed? Any last statements? Anything you even want to ask me?
I think you touched on it earlier. Building that genuine relationship. When we're looking at marketing, we haven't spoken about marketing much. Building that genuine relationship. You mentioned, you haven't asked for anything. When you are talking, people, it's funny, I walked in, we had our provider collective probably the first or second week, and someone walked in and they were late, they missed the entire presentation, walked in, I was standing at the back kind of thing, and he said, where's all the support coordinators? And I was like, man, you're kind of missing the point. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to build a relationship. Sure, if you build a relationship with a support coordinator, that's fantastic. But if a support coordinator knows you're out there to say, I've got capacity, it's going to ruin, you've lost that trust immediately. So what is it when you're looking at your marketing, when you're looking at building trust with whatever it is, plan manager, sport coordinator, OT, primary carers, what can I give rather than what can I take, will get you a long way. There's nothing against providing free stuff. You're not undercutting anybody. You can provide free care for people. I wouldn't recommend reducing your prices, but that goes down to another profitability thing later. But if you've got the time and you've got the passion and you want to volunteer your time to support people, that's going to get you a long way. For example, I work with disability basketball here at Gold Coast. And there's a thing called the Unified League, and it just brings me so much joy to go and play basketball with these guys. I wear a purple band. I'm like running down the one end of the court saying, come on, let's go play defense. Let's go play offense. And we're just, going back and forth. There's like 60 to 80 participants there, all intellectual autism, that sort of spectrum. And you just find a lot of joy, and I'm not looking to take anything from them. There's nothing. And I'm giving. And then someone approached me the other day and said, we'd love you to do a camp for our Queensland basketball disability team and that sort of thing for the young ladies. Now, I've been terrible at getting back to them because I've been super busy. I'm trying to find time to fit that into my schedule. But that's the sort of thing that happens. If you put yourself out there in the community and you show that you're genuine and you give and you actually care about this NDIS, then, you'll receive.
It'd be fruitful. Absolutely. I just saw one before, which was that Nat agrees as support coordinators, we need to be able to have a connection and a point of difference. I just wanted to point out at both times you and I do coaching, same, but different. And here we are together tonight having this live, and that's because I think it's a mutual respect that we realize, like for me, I know that I'm not the be all and end all for everybody. And then I do network people towards other coaches or other organizations because I can see that a person's growth and making sure that they've got the best quality in this sector is more important than my ego.
We need to work together on this. Like I have a specific set of skills. I'm marketing, I'm getting people started, I'm inspiring and getting people up to 10 to 20,000 a month, that sort of thing. Then I push them over to Paul Bryan, or I push them to Tanya Gomez if they need some support with that sort of stuff. I'm not expecting anything back with that. I don't ask for an affiliate sale. I don't ask for anything. I just think it'll come back through reciprocity, and it's proof. I've seen it. That's how I've always done it for the last 5 years, and I'm going pretty well for myself.
Are we the funnel?
Probably. That just comes from knowing that they're in the industry doing the right thing for people.
By people, exactly.
I want people to be taken care of.
Absolutely, and then that's the thing. And this is the same thing for support coordinators. I believe this. If you do a really good job by this person that you serve, they talk to the support coordinator about this really good job that has been done and continuing to be done, that the support coordinator will come back to you as a priority for other NDIS participants that are similar to the person that you serve. So it is making sure that if we do quality from the beginning, and it doesn't matter who, where, why, and what, it follows through. And I think that's what I enjoy about this. And I think I've really enjoyed doing these Instagram lives because I get to meet people similar like yourself that get to talk about how we work collectively as together, because we can see that it's one person having a full life approach and making sure that they have the best quality in spot.
100%. And we do harp on support coordinators wanting to, where's the support coordinator? I need to get clients. They're not the only way to get participants and clients. They are a key function for the industry, but they're definitely not the only way. But they are a great way to build relationships. And you got to think of it when we are talking about support coordinators, you got to think of it, what is their job as a support coordinator? They want to connect their participants, the people that they support, and they want to do a good job for them with people that they trust. That aren't going to give them a bad name, that are going to do the best for their participants and help their participants get results and that sort of thing. If you're coming fresh into the industry and you're sending out cold emails to people, they don't know who you are. That's not their fault. That's not the support coordinator's fault. You've made a piss poor effort to try and contact them and just send out an email. I couldn't get any clients. I sent out 100 cold call emails.
Not it.
No.
It never has been it. And my theory, and that's probably why I have the support worker store, is that to retain and attract people.
Yeah.
It's making sure that I got the support workers perfect, 110%. Happy support workers go further than anybody else, and you cannot change my mind on that, because the more happy a participant is with a support worker, the support worker is the selling point at all costs, I believe. Especially when it comes to you, I feel like the website is just like the cherry on top of the cake. Like it was just like, like the dessert, like that last piece. Oh, I've got one from Natalie. It says almost every single referral we get is word from mouth. Yeah, from participants and providers themselves. We get a lot of referrals.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
and that's the thing. They're flat out with referrals.
Yep.
So why would I answer a cold email? You need to do what can I do for this support coordinator? What can I, someone told me a story like the way they connected with support coordinators was went around to all the support coordinators and took them boxes of donuts. Now I wouldn't say that's the best concept, but it is a concept of giving rather than taking.
Yep.
There's definitely plenty of other ways you can do that, but
is that your trick?
No.
What's your trick? I'll tell you my trick if you tell me yours. And Natalie, I know you're watching this, so I'm about to give away some real big secrets on my support coordinator trick.
Yeah.
You ready to hear this one? I never, when I meet a support coordinator, I never talk about me. And the reason why is because every provider provides something very similar. So what I do when I see support coordinators is I actually ask them and I talk about their pain points, what they've got, how many people do you have on your books? Geez, and a lot of them have more people than what they should really. Like a lot of them have got huge caseloads. And then I start narrowing it down, figuring out whether there was somebody on what that they provide care for as a support coordinator, whether I could be the good fit for them. And if I wasn't the good fit, I always referred. That is my trick. And it has always paid dividends. And to be honest with you, I only ever had probably 3 or 4 really good support coordinators that we worked a lot with. And, I was the person that called and I gave them updates because I wanted to make sure that they could see that there was progression and winning.
Yeah. Yeah, having that ecosystem of supports is just completely life-changing, I think. Yeah, I mean, my secret would probably be there's too many of them, but when we're approaching a support coordinator, it really comes back to language and like you said, never talking about them. I do find as well asking for advice from a support coordinator can be empowering. It's the same with when we do our follow-up call, when I teach people how do we reduce churn in an industry. Have you sat down with this participant once a month and asked for their opinion? Because that's going to make them feel that they're listened to, and that's going to make them feel that they're heard and inspired. And then you've opened the dialogue to say, all right, well, let's look at your goals a little bit more.
Yeah.
Then you can open that dialogue and say, what aren't we doing? What are we achieving? Maybe we can add another 3 hours here because you want to become a professional cook or whatever that is. I don't think we can achieve that in 3 hours. Maybe there's space for another 3 hours on a Friday to try and make that sort of stuff. So empowering people by asking for their advice first, I think is a good little trick or a hack. Yeah.
You've given me another question. I'm so sorry. I'm so nosy. But when it comes to website creation, there's an opportunity for easy English for people to use websites and for referrals and complaints and compliments. Is there any tweaking that you have to do to make sure, is it easy to put on a website, or is there a heap of tweaking to do to get that easy English and that readable content?
What do you mean by easy English? Just making it so it's not so technical?
Easy English in the fact that is we take away all the jargon out of our language. I'll give you an example. Valid's a fantastic organisation in Victoria. It's an advocacy of organisation, and what they do with their website, it's all in easy English that any NDIS participant that's reading the website can see it from either the pictures, or it could be heard, or it's in the pictures. Have you done many websites where they've got easy English, they've got pictures, or they've got blank audio?
Look, I've developed a bit of a framework, and a lot of my websites are built off conversion rates and that sort of thing. When we talk about easy English, I think in any industry, you have to write your content, because I actually come from a background. I used to do a lot of freelance content writing while I was living in Paris, so I wrote a lot of content myself. So you have to write your content to speak to a 10-year-old. So regardless of disability or anything like that, it has to be absorbable very easily like you're speaking to a 10-year-old. So, but we
Right.
still, there's a trick here because we still need to make sure we put the language framework that support coordinators and industry professionals want to see, you know, like person-centered care, economy of care, all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Isn't it? Because it's trying to find that balance that makes it so everybody can digest the information. Because I was talking to somebody the other day and they were telling me that most people don't get past 300 words in an email and they shut off. So it makes me think, oh, you know, like, you know, it's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And that's just anybody reading an email just cut. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, our homepage is our sales page. Yeah. Like the majority of the time, if someone goes off to our other pages, there's a big chance they're going to drop off. Yeah. And you're not going to get any kind of conversion or anything. So we've got a really short amount of time to build trust and hope that you're one of the 10 providers in the search engines list or whatever it is, because it's a research keyword industry. If you've got people going through looking for, you know, autism support Gold Coast or whatever, they're going to look at the top 10. So hopefully we get that chance to build that trust immediately. So the concept that is grab your ideal participant, put your proposition of value in front of them so they know they're in the right spot and you've caught them. They move down to the next step. Then we talk about results and benefits they're going to get from working with us. Next step is social proof. If you've got some videos of participants and that sort of thing, if you've got, you know, you guys out having fun at the Easter show or whatever that is, having reviews, putting obviously reviews on there, that sort of thing. And that's something we set up. A lot of people don't leverage Google Business Profile, which is, I think, a really important tool that is completely free. We set that up on the discovery call with them just to make sure they leave that discovery call with something and they're already on the internet. You know, they're on Google. And then we look at humanizing it through how good are our staff and the founder section, you know, putting a picture and that sort of thing. So that's basically my framework that's worked for me over the last couple of years.
Excellent. I think I've got all the questions that I've got. Have you got anything that I haven't touched on anything that we need to discuss? Because I feel like I've learned so much from this, to be honest with you. And after this, I'm going to go to my website. I'm just going to have a look. And you just mentioned about Google Business, and I think I'm going to have a look at that too.
Yeah, I do have another piece of advice. This industry, when you become a registered provider, this industry is really, there's a lot of spammers. So there's a lot of overseas spammers. You get put on that NDIS list of 20-something thousand people. That's the most spammed list on the internet. So as soon as it's like, thanks NDIS for putting me on that. Participants don't look at it, but every other marketer in the world does. So they can literally send out an email to every single provider in Australia within a split second. So be really careful at the experts that you're talking to and the consultants that you're talking to in the disability sector, because if they're from outside this sector, there's a chance that they don't understand the nuances. They talk, especially SEO, people trying to push SEO. It just doesn't work in this industry. It's a really low return on investment. The competition is extremely high. You get your on-page SEO right, which is what we do. As long as you rank for your business name, that's the main thing. And then a lot of everything else is kind of done locally through local search, Google Business Profile, that sort of thing. And their goal, their priority is to get you onto a subscription fee of like $1,200 a month or whatever for the next 8 months. And they go, yeah, we can rank you number one or whatever, but it's going to take us 8 months to get there, which is true. You won't get there until like 8, 10, 12 months if they actually do their job well. But if they don't get their 8 months, they haven't lost anything and they just move on. Imagine if you took that $1,200 a month that you were going to spend in that,
my God, and
you put that into creating community events all around your area, community engagement events. And that's what my programs do. My little secret is that we create attraction events to build their irresistible offer. If you have no trust in this industry, we need to create value and put that out to the masses. And so we look at, you know, what makes a provider who they are, how can we leverage their skill sets, how can we build something that creates value that if we put in front of a support coordinator, if we put in front of any one of these guys, it's impossible for them to say no. It's so valuable. And that's how you build trust. And that's really the sense of it. So.
I've got like 2 questions now. Right. Question 1 is, I'll say them together. 1 is, can I find all the events that you got coming up on your website? And 2 is, is it like all of Australia, or you just in Queensland when it comes to your events or
Um,
online?
Provider collective events and that sort of thing. That's you can literally Google it. They're all on Eventbrite, all hosted by amazing people all around the country.
Yep.
Soon to be in almost every state, I reckon. You give it a couple of years. They're all definitely Queensland, Melbourne, Sydney, that sort of West Coast. But I think they're going to East Coast. They're going to the West Coast soon. So
Yep.
that's all on Eventbrite. My services are all on Chadwick Digital, but a lot of the group coaching programs and that sort of stuff, the mentorship stuff and that sort of thing, I don't put out there and offer it on websites and that sort of thing.
Yep.
People just come to me and say, I love what you do. I've seen everything.
Yep.
I've watched all your stuff, and can you help me?
Yep.
And so I try and put together mentorship packages for them. So if you are interested in mentorship packages or anything like that, reach out, because that's what I'm in the process of doing, is being able to figure out how I can help more people. Because this one-on-one coaching, it's great, but it just doesn't, it's not effective and it doesn't work. I think for the clients and also for me, for the consultants, I think it's a really hard business model to make work, because of trying to slot everybody into every single time slots is near impossible, because everybody has lives. And then from a coaching perspective, I think it works better when you've got a community that's holding you accountable as well. And you come onto a group coaching call, you've got a list of questions that you want to ask. You got 5 or 10 minutes to ask them. We get in and you get out and you go that, and then you can kind of check in during the week and that sort of stuff. I think it's a much, much better business model for anyone looking for coaching and that sort of stuff, is the group side of things.
All right. Well, I think I have gnawed your ear sometime. It's kind of been kind of great to meet with you like this, because I have seen some of your work in the community and it's pretty awesome. You do a pretty cool job. So I do like watching you grow and progress, and I guess I have watched your YouTube clips in a non-creepy way.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm glad. I hope you got some value from that. I think I would probably say most consultants have watched some of my YouTube clips at least. So you start to see some people talking about, I'm not trying to sound up myself, but you start to see some people using frameworks and languages that I've kind of come up with myself off the top of my head and that sort of thing, that work. And I think it's good. I love it. That
we get to build up, and we just keep pushing up and further, and that means the quality gets better as well as we go along.
There's so much room for good quality consultants in this industry, because everybody that's just going to make this industry better. That's just and that's what I'm here for. My brother lives with autism as well. I come from that kind of lived with that sort of thing as well. So I have a passion to see it succeed, and it breaks my heart when I see all this negative publicity coming out on 60 Minutes and that sort of thing. Nobody's talking about the good stuff that happens on a daily basis every day.
That's why I asked, because I do know that as like you and I, we are what we call block funding dinosaurs. There was a time before the NDIS. There was this thing, I'm from Victoria, and it was called block funding. And back then we only had DHSS that looked after the entirety of houses, and it wasn't called sealed, and it was a different era to now. And I think when you see back then and you look to now, you know there's a really big difference when it comes to people getting support, because they're getting more than ever before. And I know that at the moment there are parts of the NDIS that are still not right, and they still need to work on it, and I get all that. But if I have to look at this, we're only shy of nearly 25 years ago that, so like, you know, we have progressed so far to now to have the NDIS. By far.
I'm so grateful for it. And just to see the government saying, oh, we've reduced the numbers from 12% to 8%. And okay, so how many people missed out on that sort of thing, and we're powerless. It's crazy to me that in any other industry, if this sort of stuff was going on, they'd be striking. People would be taking it to the parliament and going, no, you can't do this to our rights. So there's some great politicians standing up for us in some of the industries. You know, teachers would have striked, miners would have striked. But, you know, we can't, because if we strike, if we leave this sort of stuff, how many people are left unsupported? They know they got us by the curlies.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been wondering that actually what you said the whole entire time, thinking, well, why hasn't anyone done anything? Why are we not protesting? Like,
Yeah.
should I be on this, like the steps of Parliament? What's going on? Like, there's no warmth for that. So I was like, well, and then you start to like, for me, like I start to second guess, like, oh, am I
Yeah.
overreacting? Like, am I doing too much? Like,
Am I the only one that's like,
yeah, all right.
yeah, it's very interesting living in this, and let's just pray that we get some competent people behind the reins that can keep this afloat
Yeah,
soon. And I think there's a lot of good people doing advocacy,
yeah,
but they don't seem to all come together and go,
yeah.
all right, guys, we're all disability advocates. Let's all come together and we're going to march on the Capitol.
I'll
I'm
see
not
you on
trying to start a
Thursday.
riot.
Well, that's all I had for tonight. I want
Yeah,
to thank you so much for joining me on this live. I know it's your very first one, and you did absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
beautiful.
All right.
All right, thank you so much
Have
for
a
having
lovely
me.
night.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right, see you, mate.
Bye.
Bye.